So just a quick little update on what's going on here. Not a whole lot this last week or two because I spent so much time on the wagon last month. So I got other things I got to get caught up on. So the wagon is pretty well done for the time being. I still have to put some chrome trim on the windshield and on the back window, back the rear side windows as well. Got to put my door panels back on, but I have to put the window trim on first before I can do that. And the hood liner has to go back in, but I want to run a wire for a subwoofer before I put the hood liner back in and the trim on that side and on that side. You can see I'm using that to store my fishing rope and stuff, or tow ropes I should say. I finished getting rid of that mouse house. But it's rainy and gross here right now, so I'm not doing that today. It's cold. That's for another day. A good friend of mine done some photoshopping on the wagon with some red wheels and some scallops. I really love scallop paint jobs. Thinking I might try and do a scallop paint job on it. We'll see how that looks. Pretty interesting. He done a beautiful job on Photoshop, I must say. I did, however, pick up a nice set of wheels I bought off a friend of mine. 15-inch wheels with 2 bolt patterns, big Chevy and small Chevy. So half done in like Nova or Camaro, I'm guessing. So these are pretty nice looking wheels. They're like from the 90s. Elite wheels. They were not terribly expensive, but they weren't cheap back in the day either. They kind of have a pattern that reminds me of Boyd's, the way they look. Boyd's wheels. Anyway, they will fit the wagon or the Hudson or the Buick. That one there needs to be polished a little bit. They need a bit of work, but they're fine. They'll polish up like chrome. The Buick is probably where they will end up. My shop is more or less empty at the moment, but we got to clean it up to get the Buick in. I got to clean all that dust off that I should have masked off before, and I didn't. Anyway, Hudson is all wrapped up and put away for the winter. I got to tighten the tarp up, but other than that, it's ready to go for the winter for a nice slumber. And this is the old Buick here that's got to come into the shop. This is the car I started the channel on, doing a 5.3 swap. While all that was happening, my daughter decided she wanted the car, so I gave it to her. The 5.3 is in there and bolted down and attached to the Buick's original transmission. I need to take the manifolds off and get rid of some broken bolts. It's one thing that has to happen. Need to make a power steering / alternator bracket work because the pulley was too big, if you remember when you watched any of you that watched the original video. She's a neat old car, but she needs some loving. White interior, that's kind of rare nowadays, and it's not in too terrible shape. We can bring it all back. See, there's some patches in the floor that we'll have to do properly. She needs some spots looked at on this mirror. Hold the patch in that fender. A little bit back here, rear hatch. Needs some loving. If anybody has a rear hatch for a 78 Skylark, please let me know. Right there above the taillight, above the license plate. This was actually patched already with a just a regular trunk. They didn't do a very good job, so we'll have to redo that. Kind of neat old car. She's branded, of course, so we know who owns her. You can't see it in here because things are packed in a little too tight, but the rockers and door bottoms and everything are pretty good in this car. There's a lot less work in this than there was in the wagon. Anyway, it's got to go up to the shop to start its rebuild, I guess. Finish hooking up the LS very soon. So we're going to drag it out of here the next 2 or 3 days and tow it up to the shop, get it in, locked in for the winter. One thing that's kind of interesting, these X bodies, the leaf springs in them tend to relax over a few years. She actually has 15s in the back and 14s in the front, but she sits pretty level. I think she's going to look pretty good with those wheels in the shop on her. Need to find some tires. So that is actually the plan for the next 2 or 3 days, next 2 or 3 weeks actually. Get this car in here as soon as I can, the old Buick, and finish it up. As I said, I have to replace the manifold bolts. Got to make a power steering alternator bracket. I have to wire it. Put some transmission fluid and stuff like that in it. See if we get it to run. So as I learn how to do that, make a harness, manipulate a harness, whatever, you guys will too. It's going to run all factory Silverado stuff, and it's going to be drive-by cable. So I'll have to try and hook up our throttle linkage. I think I have a flash computer for it. Maybe. If not, I'll have to get that done. And then it's finished the body work and finished the brakes. The back half of the car has all new brakes on it. The front half are laying in the trunk. So they're there. So yeah, it needs a lot less work than the Buick did. Just finished the swap, or sorry, than the wagon did. Just finished the swap and get it ready for my little girl for prom. And we gotta pick a color and try and do a nice paint job. We're thinking of a dark teal or something like that anyway. Yeah. So thanks all for watching, and keep tuned in. We'll get this Buick going. That'll hopefully be our winter project.